Hello, I'm Tom Watts with the BBC News. There have been renewed clashes in Jerusalem between Palestinians and Israeli police, a day after more than 200 people were injured in some of the worst violence in years at the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. Yolande Knell reports.
After tens of thousands of worshippers prayed at Al-Aqsa Mosque for Laylat al-Qadr, the most holy night in the month of Ramadan, clashes broke out at Damascus Gate in Jerusalem's Old City. Israeli police used sponge-tipped bullets and tear gas against crowds of Palestinians, some of whom threw stones. A small protest was also broken up in Sheikh Jarrah, a nearby neighbourhood where dozens of Palestinians face eviction in long-running legal cases. During the day, Israeli police had stopped dozens of buses carrying worshippers to Al-Aqsa Mosque, and a number of Palestinians were arrested following yesterday's violence.
At least 30 people have been killed in a militant attack at a school in the Afghan capital, Kabul. Reports say there were multiple blasts as children were leaving the school. Here's Secunda Kimani.
Initial reports suggest that 3 rockets were fired at the site, although there have also been some suggestions that perhaps a bomb was placed outside the school. Images on social media show bodies strewn across the ground, and it's feared that many of the victims are just teenagers and young girls. And this happened in an area, a neighborhood in the west of Kabul. It's called Dasht-e-Barchi. It's largely populated by Afghanistan's Shia Hazara minority, and it's been repeatedly attacked by the Islamic State group in the past. Tuition centres, sports halls have all been targeted.
The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has called for a coronavirus summit of the devolved nations that make up the United Kingdom. His comments follow the success of the pro-independence Scottish National Party in Thursday's elections in Scotland. The SNP leader, Nicola Sturgeon, said there was no democratic justification for Mr Johnson to block her plan to hold a second independence referendum. Spain has lifted a national state of emergency imposed 6 months ago to contain the coronavirus pandemic. The measures included an overnight curfew and restrictions on travel between regions. Here's our Spain correspondent, Guy Hedgecoe.
With those rules now lifted, a surge is expected in people visiting loved ones and second homes in other parts of the country. Each regional administration now has to decide which measures it uses to control the virus's spread. Critics have accused the central government of socialist Pedro Sanchez of passing the thorny problem of restrictions onto local leaders who have to get any new measures approved by a court. The Balearic Islands and Valencia, for example, have managed to get court approval for their curfews to remain in place. But other regions have been scrambling in recent days to prepare for Spain's new normal.
World News from the BBC. An undercover investigation by British journalists has covertly filmed Queen Elizabeth's cousin, Prince Michael of Kent, talking about taking large sums of money from a prospective client for access to the Kremlin. Undercover reporters from Channel 4 television and the Sunday Times newspaper posed as representatives of a South Korean company dealing in gold. In a secretly taped meeting, Prince Michael appears to agree to make such representations for a fee of $10,000 a day. In a statement, Prince Michael's office said he hadn't met President Putin since 2003 and that his representative had made suggestions that Prince Michael would not have been able to fulfill. The first global review of complementary medicines that claim to promote weight loss suggests there is insufficient evidence to justify their use. Researchers in Australia carried out 2 studies into dietary supplements and found most had little or no benefit. Catherine Da Costa reports.
In one study, researchers looked at data for more than 4,000 overweight or obese adults, comparing herbal supplements to a placebo. Weight loss of at least 5.5 pounds was considered clinically significant. Only one product containing white kidney beans produced greater weight loss than the dummy pill, but not enough to reach the benchmark. In a separate study of more than 5,000 adults comparing dietary supplements to a placebo, researchers found modified cellulose, a plant fibre that creates a feeling of being full, and blood orange juice extract showed promising results, but were only investigated in one trial.
Archaeologists in Italy have discovered the remains of 9 Neanderthals in prehistoric caves 100 kilometres from Rome. The bones, which include skull fragments and broken jaw bones, range in age from 50,000 to 100,000 years old and belong to a woman and a young boy, as well as 7 males. They were discovered in Grotta Guattari, near the coast of the Tyrrhenian Sea. BBC News.